fired up and excited about today's message because it's about lighting your spiritual fire. And for those who've never heard this concept of a spiritual fire, I was on the phone with a friend last night who said, well, I still don't know what your show's going to be about tomorrow. And as I started to explain it, I realized that for many people, you may have no idea what I mean when I say lighting your spiritual fire. And it just so happens that everyone in this entire world has a spark, a divine spark, a sacred fire that's right here in the invisible, in the center of your heart. Meaning that it's not something that you can see, but it's something that you know because you feel it. The fact that we are living and breathing in this world, that we are alive, alert, and awake, just speaks to a presence and a power that is greater than us, that in many ways seems unexplainable, because that's where that miracle zone, that unexpectable happens, the unexplainable happens. And that's what we call the divine. All that higher power stuff that is beyond explanation is usually what needs to be spiritually discerned. But this, you can feel it. You can feel that you're alive. You can feel that you're breathing, and you realize that your mind and your body operates without you saying, breathe now. This just happens. And this is all a part of your divine spark, that light of life that is in you at the center of your being. And that spark, like, it can literally set everything in divine order. It can be a small little flame, like a little match, or it could be a huge blaze. And I don't know about you folks, but I like to go all out in everything that I do. And so, what would be the good in having a very little dim light when you could blaze that light, that divine spark? I think about matches sometimes. If you take a match, you know, it has the potential to set off an entire fire, right? It can heat up your stove, it can heat up your house, it can trigger something that is much bigger. And so I want you to think about this. If the invisible sacred fire at the center of your heart can be fanned full into a blaze and literally light up your life, transform your circumstances, and even change this entire world, why wouldn't you want to do that? It's a little secret that we are actually meant to be radiating centers of divine activity. And I talk about this in Prosperity Now. One of the affirmations says, I am a radiating center of divine activity. But in that book, I don't go into detail as to exactly what that means. And I'm going to do that today because our primary mission in life is to grow and blaze that divine spark of light that is within us for the greater good of ourselves and for the greater good of everyone in the world. It's like when you're good and when you're your best, you impact the people around you. You inspire other people to be their best. They get to see you light up and do something amazing, something inspiring that maybe they had never conceived of before. And now their consciousness is open to the possibility. Perhaps I could succeed. Perhaps I could be so nice. I could be so much fun. Perhaps I could be so funny. Whatever it is that is unique to you, when you be it, you actually give others permission to be their best, and they're blessed too. So for those of you who are part of the Healing True Center community, we're not the kind of folks who are going to dim our light for the possibility that it may make someone else more comfortable or have people not be intimidated by the greatness that is you, because you have to show up and be all that you can be. That's your responsibility. You owe it to yourself, and you actually owe it to the world. The whole world is waiting for you to be you, and no one else can do that. but you. I talk about this idea of divine activity because it's important to understand that there is actually three aspects to what it means to live and walk in this world, fully aware of how divine you actually are. And so it's interesting that the understanding that's coming forward today is about light. A divine spark is light. Light is wisdom, and we're all very familiar with that concept. Light is also energy. The lights are on. That light is energy, and that energy is actually power. Then there's also the light of love, which is passion. And those are the three aspects, the three key aspects of what I am calling and teaching you about today as the sacred fire. We are living as love, wisdom, and power. Those are the three aspects of this divine spark of who you are. And so when you are living with love, wisdom, and power, you are living in at one ment. And when I first got into spiritual studies and spiritual circles, everyone would talk about at one ment because I believe that the traditional spiritual perspective talks a lot about atonement and not necessarily opening up to the higher understanding that atonement is actually at one ment. And at one ment, I think the best example of someone who lived with this idea of at one ment would have been Jesus Christ. Because here's a soul that said, when you see me, you see my Father. He's saying that you see the creator of the entire universe. When you see me, you see God. So he lived with love, wisdom, and power. But if you notice, he didn't say, when you see me, you see the little bit of love, wisdom, and power that I am. He said, you see my Father. You see God, the allness of who and what God is as love, as wisdom, and as power. And so I believe that our primary task on this mission of life to blaze the divine spark within us is to live, be, give, and receive the light and love of God. That light as love, that light as wisdom, that light as power, to the very best of our abilities. And last week in the message, Dreams, Windows to the Divine, I talked about our divine inspirations coming from someplace super, super deep within us. And that those desires, those ideas, and those needs are meant to be fulfilled. The next question, though, which is why today's talk is called Lighting Your Spiritual Fire, is how? How do I live so that my desires are instantly fulfilled and my needs are instantly met that correspond with those desires? It's not unusual for us to talk about, oh, well, faith. Faith is what makes this all happen. But I'm actually encouraging you to think about it as, how do I blaze the divine spark of light within me? Because, when you think about what people call manifesting, I want to manifest a car, a house, a relationship, etc. I believe that that keeps you into the intellectual process of kind of commanding what you individually can conceive of. And that limits the opportunity for the divine to work in, as in, through you. Now look at the divine spark, however. So here goes this spark. This is where all of divine wisdom, all of that divine fire and energy and power is accessible right here. Then this is a process that you literally have to go in to understand, go in to blaze, so that this light, this fire that's coming up from within you, consumes you, takes over you, and is all of you, so that all that anyone ever sees and feels from you is divine love, divine wisdom, and divine power. And in that space, look at how Jesus rolled. Everything that he needed, the instant he needed it, came to pass. He had the ability to transform the conditions and the people around him. And he said, these things that I do, you can do also. So what did he do? He raised the dead. He healed the sick. He changed a world that generations and generations thereafter still think about what is it about him that he was able to literally walk this earth as a healing presence. Besides the fact that he did pray, besides the fact that he did meditate, he knew that he had access to God, that there was no separation. When you saw him, you saw God. I wonder, what would your life be like? And this is like the homework this week. What would your life be like if you lived and breathed the understanding of life as Jesus the Christ lived? That you could be as wise, as confident, as much of a healing presence, to live in his way, to live as love. And this is a tall order. I understand that, because in our lives, we have challenges. We have opportunities. And I have some thoughts about that, because in the midst of challenges and seemingly difficult times, it seems to me that we have our back up against the wall, and perhaps our knees are as low to the ground as they can get, and there is no other option but to believe in a presence and a power that is greater than you. And sometimes it takes that. Sometimes it takes that experience to get you fired up to say, God, act now. God, come forth now. I expect miracles. And to have the conviction and the emotion around it that success is the only option. Up is the only way. Victory and miracles are what are required in this moment. And you're pretty passionate about it in that moment. Perhaps more passionate than if everything was okay. And, think about this. How much faith is required to know that dinner is coming when the table is set and the food is in the oven and you can smell it? Probably none, because your five senses, I was going to say your visual faculties, but your physical senses of sight and sound and scent, you can see, feel, taste, and sense that the food is there. And so there's no faith required. But what about if there was no food in the refrigerator? There was no money in the bank, that you didn't have a visible sign or indicator that everything was going to turn around, that you did not have any prospects as far as you knew of a relationship, that you didn't have any messages or emails telling you, oh, this is going to work out just fine because ... Because, beloved ones, faith isn't about being validated first and having the proof and then the manifestation. You have faith first. You believe it before you see it. And so when I think about the economic times, I think about the phone calls that I receive from souls who are saying, help me, pray with me, counsel me, support me. Those souls are inundated with facts of less than good, facts about lack. And what we need is facts, or better yet, an understanding that is higher than those facts. And we have to look up in that moment, and we have to get our spiritual fire blazing, so that way we can really be powerhouses and get that spiritual swagger popping, so we can walk this earth knowing, living, breathing. Abundant good is my birthright. I am destined for greatness. Good is happening. Money's coming. Everything is working together for good. You know, a lot of people will tell me, well, I read the affirmations, I say the prayers, and I'm not seeing anything. I mean, the mere fact that you're asking is that you're looking for the proofs. You're not putting your energy into believing before you see. You're not putting your energy into knowing this shall come to pass for the greater good of myself and for others. So, beloved ones, I'm encouraging you this week to really fan the flame of your spiritual fire because you're powerhouses. Deep inside of you is this reservoir of abundant good for everything. Every idea that you can bring to life comes to you. It is for you to do, not for you to talk about it and to think about it and to speculate how, when, and if. Did you know that I had a vision about such and such? No, you've got to be about it and bring it to life, to be that life. It really doesn't matter what has ever happened to you in your life. It really doesn't matter how many times it seemed like a failure. It really doesn't matter whether or not it seems that anyone is in your corner or anyone can validate you and say, you're right on track. You can bring this to pass. This is good. You're going to be great at that. The ideas that you have, maybe no one else has ever had. Maybe no one has seen those things in this world. These are for you to create, and that's why it requires your faith. I'm curious, what are the things that really test you and challenge you to believe that it will come to pass? Is it really just about money? Is it about relationships? Is it about your health? I mean, I think about the souls who receive a diagnosis that say XYZ is going to happen in your body. And here's the data that tells you this is exactly how it's going to work. That information can be so overwhelming that you may invest your expectation on that prognosis instead of investing your expectation that only good can come to me. God is the light of my life, and I can transform my health. I can transform my money. I can transform my business. I can transform my relationships. Any and everything that is for me to do and to be, I can do this. I can do this. Beloved ones, if you have questions, I would encourage you to not only contact me, but if you're listening live, go ahead and jump in the chat room on healingtruthcenter.com. Post your questions, post your comments. I can speak to specifically what it is that you may be going through and how you can grow through that experience with abundant faith and conviction. And I was just peeking in the chat room to see who was there. But what I want everyone to really walk away from is knowing that when you magnetically attract something to you, it is because it is for you. When you fan the flames of your sacred fire, all that is for you automatically comes to you. So you don't have to pray, give me this money, give me this money, I need money. You can get yourself fired up about how amazing and how powerful God is, how that presence and power of God is right there in, as, and through you. Because your conception of what God can do for you may be smaller than what God can actually do. A favorite spiritual teacher of mine is Emma Curtis Hopkins, and she says, there's good for you and you ought to have it. And I love that. I love the idea of knowing there's good for me and I ought to have it. There's good for you and you ought to have it. That you are blessed. You don't have to beg for blessings. You are blessed. You are always blessed. You are created for greatness. You are destined to be successful at everything that you set your hand to do and to be in this world. You were born to give and receive abundantly, be it money, be it health, be it love, be it anything. And when you fan the flames of your sacred fire, that is exactly what you are doing. You are magnetically attracting what is good for you. You never have to worry, be anxious, or fear. You are good to go. If this is news for you, then great. Now you know it. If you already know this and you're already so spiritually aware, so spiritually in tune that you are magnetically constantly attracting wonderful good things into your life and wonderful things that you can be and rise to the occasion to be in this world so you can give more and do more and be more, then you know the importance of feeding yourself and nurturing yourself with spiritual food, feeding your soul, feeding your spiritual fire, and fanning the flame. I like to use affirmations to do that. I also like to sit in meditation because in that quietness, in this stillness, I can feel that light. I can envision the light and I can watch it grow and radiate through my entire body. And that's a great meditation for you to do. But your sacred fire, it's already lit. If you are alive and breathing, it's lit. Your light is on. And how do you get it blazing? Make the decision to shine your light in all your glory. Be amazing. Be blazing. 24/7, 365. Don't hold back. Don't dim down. Don't be small. Even when people and places come through that just want to kick you off your altar of eternal peace, hold it. Hold your peace. Burn brighter. Look up. Know God is working in, as, and through me, and all is well, even in the midst of this so-called trial and difficulty. God as me is blessing this world. God as me is blessed. While it may only take 1 second to be knocked off your altar of eternal peace, in less than a second, you can instantly look up, and rise to the occasion of the blessing that you are meant to be in any situation. Beloved ones, I pray that in this moment you do realize your potential for greatness. And more than that, that you are inspired to be, live, and breathe all of the greatness that you can be. That whatever situation or circumstance may feel difficult and hard and just perhaps even overwhelming, that right here and right now God is working, that God is blessing and prospering you beyond your greatest expectation, that good is happening, that everything you want to be in this world is coming to pass in a wonderful way, and get excited about it. Expect the blessings. Enjoy the blessings. Be grateful for this moment. Be thankful for who you are now. Even be thankful for whatever you have grown through in the past. It has helped groom you into a wonderful soul that you are now, and prepared you for how best to serve in this world, in whatever career and whatever station in life you choose. Today's show is going to air throughout the week at healingtruthcenter.com. It's also accessible in the Blog Talk Radio archives. So that if you want to come back and watch, if you want to go back and listen, then please go ahead and do that. Also join the email list and become a member of Healing Truth Center. I thank all of you who support this ministry with your financial seeds and with your time and with your energy. If you are seeking greater support and would like a private consultation, just contact me at healingtruthcenter.com. I am happy to support you in your personal process of spiritual discovery and healing.